Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. On today's video, I'm going to show you how to etch these cute little glasses with the Halloween phrase. I got these, I'm pretty sure I got these at Walmart. It is a Libby's glass. It's 8.5 ounces, and again, I'm pretty sure I got these at Walmart. I also buy things at the Dollar Tree because I'm really impressed with their glassware for projects like this. And then another good place is like a TJ Maxx or a Home Goods. They have really nice 4-piece sets that are just really inexpensive. So for today's video, in addition to the glasses, I'm going to be using some Oracal vinyl for my stencil. Now this is 631. 631 is a removable and it's Oracal brand, but you'll see here it's called Orafol. Not sure if I pronounced that right, O-R-A-F-O-L. But I will link to the exact thing that I bought in the description below. I have paper towels handy. I have some alcohol so that I can clean the glasses before we put the etching cream on. I have Armour Etch etching cream. Love this stuff. Some scissors, my weeding tool, and then I like to use gloves. Then lastly, I have this clear contact paper that I'll use to transfer my stencil to my glass. So let's go ahead and get started by cleaning the glasses. You want to make sure that you have oils and everything like that off of the glasses so that the etching cream will work really well. So the use of the gloves is twofold. First and foremost, I put them on because I don't want the Armour Etch on my hands. But second of all, while you're cleaning the glasses, the oil from your hands won't get back on the glasses because you have gloves on. If you're not using gloves, I would wash your hands very thoroughly. Now I realized I didn't tell you how I will apply the etching cream, and I just use a little popsicle stick to clean the glasses. Just gonna spray them, and I'm not sure where I'll put my vinyl, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray the entire glass, and then I'll dry it off really well. However, it will continue to dry while I'm making my stencil. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the computer screen so that you can see my design. So for today's project, I am going to design in Cricut Design Space. I have a new project screen open. I'll click on text. And what I want to say is boo in all caps and then the word juice. Let me look to see what I like on my system fonts. I do want it to be fairly thick because when you're etching glass, the more etching cream that you have, I think the better it looks. Now I'm working on a different computer, so I don't have as many fonts on this computer, I just realized, but I like this. I think that looks cute. It's very bold, but I do want to move my letters together just a little bit. So I'm going to hit this down arrow on the letter spacing. I think I went a little too far. Okay, I think that looks good. For some reason, to me, this E looks like it's further away than the rest of the letters. So I'm going to click Ungroup. Then I can select just my E, move it over just ever so slightly. Now, to make sure it's lined up properly, I'll go ahead and select everything, click Align, and let's go with Align Bottom. Now I can go back and group them back together. I have about 4 inches of room on my glass, so let's see what it would look like if I unlock the proportions and just change it to 4 inches. Okay, I actually want to see what it'd look like if I made it taller. It's only 3/4 of an inch right now, so let's start with 1 inch. And It's locked, so I need to go back. I need to unlock so that the height, a change in height won't affect the width. I think I'll go even just a little bit taller. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and settle on 4 inches wide by 1.2 inches tall. I want to go ahead and attach that, then I'll duplicate. Now I can go ahead and click Make It. I want to have some extra vinyl around my words just to protect my glass from getting any of the cream under the vinyl. So I'll separate those a little bit. In selecting my material, I'm just going to click on Vinyl, and I need to make sure I have my fine point blade in. Now notice I'm just leaving the whole roll attached together. I like to do that to hopefully decrease waste in the vinyl. Also, I always check my blade, make sure it's clean. I cleaned it before I put it in today, so it is, but I wanted to remind you of that. So we'll go ahead and we'll start the cut. Then I'll just cut around my stencil. I will leave a decent amount of excess vinyl just to help protect my glass from getting Armour Etch on it. Okay, the thing to remember is, in this case, we're not weeding out all the excess. We are actually weeding the letters because we're using this as a stencil. And it seems like I wouldn't need to say that, but I have messed that up before and then felt kind of foolish, but it happens. Another thing about the Orcal vinyl is it cuts very nicely and it weeds very nicely. So now I have my contact paper. It's called transparent. You can easily see through it. It's not super clear, but you can easily see through it. So I just need a big enough piece to transfer my stencil to my glassware. I am going to use this little scraper thing to burnish down my transfer paper. You could use a credit card. You really don't even have to use anything. I just think it's a little bit helpful. So I'm going to peel the corner of the backing up, and then I'll expose the sticky paper all along one side. Then I'm going to set that down, and I'll actually tape it down to my desk just to keep everything from shifting. And as I pull away the backing, just smooth down your transfer paper. Now I didn't get it quite all the way there, but that's not going to cause a problem. If I wanted to, I think I will. I can just cut that away. I have plenty. Now, what we need to do next is we need to remove this backing. So just peel up at a corner and notice that's starting to come up. So I'm either going to use my fingernail and burnish it down, and now it's staying down, or I could use this little tool here. Okay, push really hard to try to keep those from coming up. The trick is really just paying attention, and when you see something coming up, shove it back down, rub on it, and it's usually fine. Oh, that's funny. Look at that. I was just trying to pull it up. That works so much easier. Wow. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to watch under here, and if I see it not coming up, I'll shove it back down and burnish it some more. That's funny. That was an accident. So I have my transfers ready. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on. Now, before you open this, you want to shake it up really well. So I'll do that off camera. The other thing is, if you have not used yours for quite a while, then when you unscrew the lid and take it off, you're going to have a bunch of crumbs, just dried pieces fall off. I opened mine earlier today just to alleviate that mess on camera. But I would put something under it to catch those crumbs. There's a few, nothing major, but there sure were earlier today. Okay. So here's my little glass. What I need to decide is which way I want my words running. And I've already decided that I want them to be this way. You could do them the other way, but I want them to be this way. And you want to try to get this as straight as possible. Don't push down very hard until you're really satisfied with your placement. So I'm just going to barely rub along that. And if it's standing up, does that look straight? I think it looks fine, so we'll go ahead and adhere that down to the glass. And I'm going to go from the middle to the outside edges. Now on curved surfaces, you often have some issues. And as long as where the vinyl meets the glass at the exposed area, as long as there's no bubbles there or no gaps there, you're okay. It doesn't matter if there's gaps or bubbles out here, but I'll show you a trick here in a minute on how to help alleviate some of that. Okay, so now we're just going to remove our transfer paper. And just like before, we're going to make sure that none of these insides stick to the transfer paper. See, you can see one peeking up right there. Okay, it's slowly working its way back down. If I were to put the Armour Etch on this right now, I would have problems because right here where that vinyl is lifted, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but Armour Etch would get under that and it would bleed out. So I'm going to work with this to get rid of any gap here at this edge. I'd like to take these gloves off. Okay, it's going to make it a lot easier for me. So I'm actually going to lift at this corner and first see if I can remove it that way. Okay, now because it's rounded and it's getting smaller as it gets to the top of the glass, sometimes you need to cut. And you'll see this vinyl will actually overlap itself just barely. But because it's not the same diameter all the way up, it just, sometimes it needs some relief cuts in it. Okay, now I feel really good that the vinyl down on my E is stuck down so that there's no gaps at the edges where the vinyl meets the glass. Okay, I see a little, there we go, there was a little bubble under it between the U and the I, and it was likely that it was exposing the underneath to where some of the Armour Etch could get under the vinyl. Okay, here's another one right there by this U. So I'm just going to burnish that down really well. And there's one right here. Not sure if that's going to show up on the film, but again, just going to burnish that down. Okay, so the biggest issues on this glass are right down here at the B, because this is so rounded. So again, I'm going to make at least one, if not two, relief cuts. Okay, so I'll start in the middle one, and I'm actually going to rip this a little bit more. Now be careful you don't rip into your design. Okay, so I'll shove down that middle section. Now I can see from making this cut right here, my glass is exposed. So I'm just going to cut off a little piece of my transfer tape and cover that over so that I don't accidentally get some etching cream on it. Okay, we're ready to put the etching cream on. Now, my biggest advice to you is just really inspect to make sure there's no gaps where the vinyl ends and you see the clear glass below it. So I'm going to move one glass out of the way so I don't accidentally drip some Armour Etch on it. Now, I just reach in and get a generous amount of Armour Etch. And then I just like to dab it on my glass, my exposed pieces. I don't like to rub it around a whole lot because I'm afraid that if there is a small gap, it's going to rub it into or under the vinyl where that gap is. Now notice that my glass is exposed down there. I probably should have taped that off just so you don't accidentally rub your stick on it and cause some etching up there. But I made it through the first one successfully. Now I just kind of tamp around on it a little bit to make sure that it is really making good contact with the glass everywhere. And then there's really inconsistent things out there as far as advice for how long to leave it on. I have heard people talk about leaving it on like 45 minutes to an hour. I really haven't seen a big difference from leaving it on just for a minute or two, even up to 15 minutes. So I'll let this sit while I do my second glass. Now I have some Armour Etch on this glove. Actually I have it on both gloves, so I don't want to accidentally transfer that to my glasses when I carry them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the other room and I'm just going to put this under the faucet and I'm going to rinse away all of the cream. Now be careful where you do this. I've never had a problem with it etching the sink or anything like that, but I do recommend that you wash it off in a sink that you're not as concerned about. For example, we have a copper sink downstairs in our bathroom. I would not ever wash this off in a copper sink. So I'll go rinse it off and then I'll be right back. Okay, these are still damp, but they turned out quite nicely. What I did was I rinsed most of the etching cream off, and then I, under the water, went ahead and took all the vinyl off, kept rinsing, and this is what I ended up with. Okay, I still see a little bit of water, but that's not bad. Let me move that so you can really see these better. I think that turned out just beautiful. Now you can see both glasses. You can see they both just turned out so nicely. I don't see a single bleed. Once in a while I'll have just a tiny little bit, and on these I don't see a single thing that's out of place. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Marilyn. Bye-bye.